the power of the dark side.
More powerful than a locomotive.
Hulk! Smash!
Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound.
There's more to them than meets the eye.
Everybody has their own. Nobody's locked up. Everybody is free to roam. Look at that scrubby, with a hottie on his side. Look at them rich kids, poor kids, everybody together on the same side, and they down to ride. Let's go all the way. Let's go all the way. Let's go all the way. Just our side, our side. Ain't nobody left out. Everybody gets to go. It can never be too crowded. Come on, we're still picking up some more. Don't nobody hate you, player hate you. The rain don't hate at all. Got a million hands here to catch you, 'cause they'll catch you, 'cause they never will let you fall. You ain't gotta worry, y'all. Let's go all the way. Let's go all the way. Let's go all the way. Never no sickness, nobody has to die. Everything's absurd, right then and there. Never have to wonder why. Won't nobody rush you, no hurry. Be as long as you wanna be. Can you guess what this place is? Your future, make it a reality. All you have to do is follow me. Let's go all the way. 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 Let's go all the way.
Hey, those little creeps are sure ugly.
Oh yeah, I'll show you ugly.
Nothing like starting off a show with a little flatulence.
It sounds like me behind this board.
Yeah, flatulence and ICP. What a way to kick off a show. Don't you agree, Mr. George Garner?
Oh, absolutely.
So, as I said last time, this time we're going to talk about the Garbage Pail Kids. Long-waited Garbage Pail Kids. This should have been a segment on my show like when we first started off. Don't know why it wasn't, but it wasn't. As you could hear, Wendy, the good old-fashioned gentleman fart in there from the movie. I'm not a big fan of the movie. Do you remember it too much?
Not really, no.
I've watched it a handful of times, and I kind of thought like it was stupid. And I know there's going to be some folks out there saying, Chuckles, you're starting a show out about Garbage Pail Kids.
Saying the movie's stupid.
But yeah, in honesty, it was stupid.
Well, some things just don't cross over.
I didn't think so. And my wife loves it, and Deadly Dan loves it. And they sat there going like, how do you like all these other 80s movies, and you think this one's stupid? Well, it's just my opinion. I think the movie's stupid.
Now, there was a certain green leafy substance to go along with that movie that makes it much more tolerable.
Well, maybe I'll have to deal with some of that green leafy substance. There was a car out in the parking lot I can try to get some off of. If you guys are out there, just leave a little behind my car tire there. And then we'll try to watch the movie again. Maybe after like the 5th time I watch it, it'll be entertaining. I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't own it. I'm not going to own it. But what I do own, George, is stacks upon stacks of Garbage Pail Kids at home. I don't know where they are. I used to have more. I used to have a couple binders of these things because, they were cheap growing up as a kid. You could find them at flea markets, singly, or in a package for like 25 cents. They were a cheap thrill, and they were funny.
Yeah, did they catch on right away, or was that one of the things that they came out, they didn't do much, and then they got more famous over time?
I think those things blew up right away.
Okay.
They were a kick in the butt for the Cabbage Patch Dolls because the gentlemen that created this started to make a joke about what happened during the 80s with the whole Cabbage Patch, like, running and trying to kill people to get these stupid dolls.
Right.
So instead they made these cards out there to make fun of these stupid dolls. And it was an instant hit. Now, these things, if you remember, came to, I think, about 7 in a pack, and they had these raunchy pieces of bubble gum. And I'll get to a story about that later on down the road. But before we get off topic, I have to brush on this a little bit. All right, so before we get too much off topic. Sad day in wrestling history, and I have to say this, and I believe we're going to talk more about this on the Haunted Cabaret because it belongs there.
We could.
The Undertaker has officially retired.
Ooh.
I knew it was coming. And I know everybody's waiting for the Garbage Pail Kids. We'll get back to that. But we are wrestling fans here. And I'm going to give you a little tidbit. Roman Reigns retiring The Undertaker was the worst thing WWE could have ever done to the big man.
Now, I refuse to watch WWE anymore. Big a wrestling fan as I am, I just go back to the archives when I want WW anything wrestling. So what did he didn't actually pin the Undertaker?
He did.
He pinned the Undertaker.
He beat him fair and square. I mean, it was a brawl for all match, like no hold bars type deal with chairs and everything. But he pinned him fair and square, no outside interference, nothing.
Now, usually when that happens, that's what's called passing the torch. Mm-hmm. So what you're telling me is that the Undertaker passed the torch of the Undertaker to Roman Reigns.
And how the hell is he going to pull that off? I don't think he's going to. I don't think so. I think there could have been someone better to take that spot. And if you guys are listening in Garbage Pail Land, make a card out of Roman Reigns for us, will you? Because we here think he sucks. And there's not too many of us that do like him.
No charisma Reigns?
Yeah, no charisma Reigns. There you go. We can show up a guy that shows in the wrestling that's just as boring. He puts everybody to sleep.
Interesting question would be, though, now, given that The Undertaker... And I think it's a good idea for him to, retire from active participation in the ring because, his injuries, his knees are shot.
I don't know how he gets to a metal detector at the airport. His knees are made out of metal, his hips made out of metal.
Tony, you saw WrestleMania. You saw the size of that ramp getting down to the ring.
Yeah.
It was huge. That was instantly like a half a mile.
Yeah, it was literally the size of a football field to walk to the ring.
Right. They ended up, I think they carted him underneath the ramp, halfway down it, if not more, and he popped up through the ramp because there was no way in hell
he was going to walk that.
The Undertaker was walking that and then wrestling.
Right.
retiring was a good thing because in that match he did look like he was in a lot of pain.
Right.
He was definitely slowing down. I guess his wife said that after the Rumble, after he was in the Royal Rumble, he was in excruciating pain. Mm-hmm. Well, at that point in time, yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to go.
But now here's the question: if not Roman Reigns, and we all agree that Roman Reigns was the wrong guy to do it, who should have had,
before everybody slanders and throws stuff at me? Yeah. They had the right idea at first, and then they went totally left field with it. It should have been Bray Wyatt. You have this ultimate dark character coming down, doing all this scary stuff, and he's got the fans behind him and everything, but you don't push him to that aspect. So now we don't really have that dark character that you're going to be looking forward to because they keep jobbing the guy out. They gave him a world title, and then they have him lose it to Randy Orton. That would have been probably the perfect guy to to take over.
Take the role of the dark character, the ultimate dark character.
I mean, the guy's got gimmick. He's got the fans where he comes out in the light and there's 1,001 cell phones lit up. It's called Fireflies.
Guilty.
Yeah, and he's got the wrestling moves.
Right.
And he's crazy enough where you could legitimately take him being someone as a dark character. But they didn't want to push him. They kept him in mid-card region for a long time, gave him a world title. Now they're dropping him back down. Very bad mistake. I'm not a wrestling booker, but when you got a guy when half the arena says they hate him and he sucks and they're booing him to the point where he can't talk, I think it's time to rethink your idea about maybe this guy shouldn't have been the one to retire Taker or take his spot up on the torch.
Now, we were recalling it at Cretan 3 practice the other night, but maybe we'll save it for the Haunted Cabaret. But there was a time when I completely botched The Undertaker's lighting. I botched his whole entrance.
You did. Our own Tony Jones.
Now Taker's going to be looking for us because he's retired.
Actually, you may remember at the time, because we had a luxurious apartment together, Chuckles the Klown and I did, and primetime Brian Lee, the fake Undertaker, called up the house, screaming at me or preparing to scream at me. Luckily, I wasn't home.
Many times. We'll talk about that, too, in a little bit. But let's get back to the good old-fashioned Garbage Pail Kids and the nostalgia when the Undertaker, well, no, he wasn't around until the 90s. So this is 80s. And, well, yeah, Garbage Pail Kids were big in the 90s. They were big up until, well, they're still big. It's just pretty hard to find the suckers.
Well, their heyday, though, was
in the 80s. Yeah, I mean, they still got a huge fan following to them. Don't get me wrong. They're nowhere near where they were in the 80s. Now, these little cards of collectibles, they can catch a pretty price right now. And I'm talking thousands of dollars these cards are caught. And I can remember damaging these things just like I did G.I. Joes. And as I was driving up here, noticing all the West Warwick's finest getting out for the fresh air and everything, I was like, I probably destroyed a $6,000 to $7,000 card one point in time doing stupid stuff with the damn thing, either lighting it on, using it as fire kindling,
right,
or leaving it out where the cat got to it. I didn't think nothing of it. I said,
well, it's a question
I peeled
of
the sticker off.
If we only knew. It's a question of if we only knew.
Yeah. I mean, you guys out there listening to Chuckles Crypt, you guys feel like I do? You feel like maybe if you had a couple more of those in there, you could have put your kids through college? Have you done something stupid with a toy that you thought at the time was fun, and then you look back at it and you go, crap, that toy was worth more than a diamond ring. What the hell is wrong with me?
Well, I'll tell you, I looking back on it, I wish that my brother and I had never instituted the Galactic Wrestling Federation.
Oh, boy.
Because we had every action figure from Star Trek to Star Wars to the Planet of the Apes to the original line of Marvel superhero action figures to I don't even want to continue thinking about it. But basically, we just had a wrestling federation, and they just beat each other unmercifully until now
pieces fell off.
For the sake of nostalgia, I still have the survivors in a box, and they are heavily taped. They are missing limbs.
Do you cry every time you lift the lid up and look at them?
Yeah, especially the Marvel superheroes.
Yeah, those are expensive.
Yeah.
When you price them up, the original ones are very expensive. But we were kids, and that's what kids did. They had fun with their toys. They had fun with these things like Garbage Pail Kids.
Which we were supposed to.
They were we didn't know these things were going to be worth money, and I sure as hell don't think the creators knew these things were going to be worth money, especially when they were selling them at 25 cents a pack.
And come to think of it, if we kids hadn't destroyed so much of it, the remaining things wouldn't be worth any money. So we did our part.
Yeah,
so we're actually entitled to a percentage of anyone who has an intact fill in the blank.
Yeah, it definitely has. And we're sitting back here talking about Garbage Pail Kids. I got kind of a little confused going over who created it. However, this Garbage Pail Kid episode is dedicated to Jay Lynch, who was an artist for them for over 10 years. So I'm not touching on the other guys right now. They're still alive. This guy's not. Died of lung cancer. Not a great way to go, but 70 years old, pretty good long life. Could have been longer, but sure, pretty good. I'm sure he lived a life of luxury, drawing for Bazooka Joe and Topps. And let me get to that right here, because I wanted to have a nostalgia moment with my good buddies here at Rhode Island Free Radio who come here every time for Chuckles Crypt. I struck out finding Garbage Pail Kids. The only place I knew that was selling them was either online or a store that was charging $2 too many for a pack of Garbage Pail Kid cards. That is in 2016. It wasn't like these things were back in 1985. So I wasn't able to pick those up. So I figured, okay, that's strike one. Strike two came up when I bought the Bazooka Joe gum. I brought it here, and I'm thinking, hey, let's open some comics, look at them together. We'll have some nostalgia moments. And nope, there's no comics on the back of the Bazooka gum.
No,
It is not. It says, what's inside these things now?
Nothing.
It says codes inside. What the hell do I care about codes? Where's the fun in this?
No, that's what made Bazooka bubblegum unique, because it certainly wasn't the taste of the gum.
No, because it tasted good for about 3 seconds.
Right, and then it tasted like chemical warfare.
Yeah,
right.
You had to spit the sucker out where it disintegrated in your mouth and probably plugged up your intestine and your bowels down there. So they got rid of it. So what happened to the fun? I mean, this is a crime. This is like Cracker Jack, who don't have prizes in it anymore.
There's little cardboard squares in the Cracker Jack's prize.
There's no more fun with this stuff. I mean, it seems like they've really royally screwed this generation of kids out of something fun. If you guys agree with me, hey, put it up there. Maybe I'm just talking out my ass. Maybe it didn't belong having comics on the back of those.
No, you're not. No, you're not. I mean, this, and it's not just, somebody was like, back in your day. No, some things there are some things now that are better than they were then. There are some things then that are better than they are now. And this is a case. Toys and prizes were better then than they are now.
Oh, definitely. I mean, as cheesy as the toys looked, we still had the better toys. We're going to go down to some music here, because that's what we do here in Chuckles Crypt, Rhode Island Free Radio. We're going to have some fun with the music tonight, as we're going to have some fun reminiscing about Garbage Pail Kids. One of my favorites, and George's favorites, that we play often here. Yes. Not a shocker, no. Alice Cooper, Is It My Body?
What have I got that makes you want to love me? Now, is it my body? Someone I might be? Something inside me
All right, Alice Cooper here on Chuckles Crypt, Rhode Island Free Radio. That is my all-time favorite band. You will hear that a couple times on this show, and you might hear it next coming up on the Haunted Cabaret. You never know what's coming up. However, you do know, if you haven't, you do now, we are talking about Garbage Pail Kids. Those little cards that brought so much enjoyment to our lives. Now, there are a couple of them that stick into my mind that I remember. And then there are a couple of them that they just floated by, didn't really care. I always seemed to, the gross ones would stick in my head more than the ones that were just like normal, like, like they have one here that's Eternal Atom, which is a knockoff of the He-Man one, and it's Garbage Pail Kids staying over. That one didn't stick in my head. However, you get one like Armpit Brit, which shows like, this big armpit stuff hanging out her arm. That one sticks in my head because it was gross.
Right.
Or you'd get Acme Amy, which, speaking about that, almost made me puke in the mic. Where you see the girl sitting there popping a zit, and she's popping it onto a toothbrush. And you know what's coming up next with that. So, I mean, these cards got pretty vile. I mean, but that was the best part of them.
Well,
The vile humor. It's like, what are they going to come up next with these? I don't remember this one, but I'm looking at a picture right now. There's one called Billary Hillary. I have to find this one because it's Hillary Clinton coming out of a suit made of Bill Clinton. So it's like saying they're both the same thing. That was pretty funny looking. Coming down here, and of course you got the one where it's Up Chuck. I still remember someone put that card on my desk at school and said, "Look, it's you, Up Chuck." You're very funny. That wasn't the first or the last time someone would tell me that my name, Chuck, would rhyme with Up Chuck. However, that one stuck in my head. I remember there was one Garbage Pail Kid card where the lady had PB&J in her mouth. I guess she was eating too much peanut butter jelly. There was one where the kid was like a half alligator, half boy. That one was pretty funny. And then there's another one where the kid's like shedding his skin and he's a skull. There were so many good ones. To remember them all, I could never do that.
And the one shedding his skull was Boney Tony.
Yeah, there you go. I figured he would remember that one. And, of course, if Nurse Misery's listening, one of her favorites, and she's going to probably kick me when I get home, is Leaky Lacey, which is a Garbage Pail Kid, of course, is leaking out of the diaper, and she doesn't really care for that one
it's a sign of getting older, too, because I absolutely loved Garbage Pail Kids as a kid, and now, I'm not feeling too good today, and here I'm looking at Yicky Mikey, Acne Amy, and Jack Splat, and I'm ready to throw up behind the board here. I mean, talk about some artwork that is just, I never noticed it when I was a kid, but now it's like making me nauseous.
Yeah, he did a really good job with that.
Yeah, well, I think that was the basic purpose of the entire Garbage Pail Kid line, was to nauseate and cause your parents to vomit.
And there were some of them.
Because, like I said, what I remember most about the Garbage Pail Kids cards wasn't like trading them with friends or anything. It was the immortal moment when you unwrapped a card that almost made you puke and got to show it to your mother.
Oh, man.
And just watch the expression on her face. Like, I think that was the overarching plan of the Garbage Pail Kids, was to make your mother turn different colors.
I'm looking at Clogged Dwayne right now, which is some poor kid getting flushed down the kitchen sink.
Here's one I'm sure you guys would like. It's called Trick or Trump. It's Donald Trump's head carved to look like a jack-o'-lantern, and it's all flames, which is supposed to be his hair. I got to post that one up on Evil Dead Ted, which is like a rip-off of Evil Dead. Mm-hmm. I mean, that one's pretty cool looking. There's some really cool ones, and then you get this one right here where the lady's like 800 pounds, and she's got a worm coming out of her knee and booger snots coming down her and that's pretty freaking vile. But as a kid, we would have looked at it and said, hey, that's cool. Here's another gross one. Crater Chris. The kid's face is all full of zits, and he's popping them. And what was with this guy and popping zits? I think he might have had a fetish for that or something. These things were awesome, and I have a good story to share for you. A long time ago when there used to be this place called Rocky Hill Flea Market.
I remember that.
They used to sell the cards down there.
Right.
And I would go down there and buy them $0.25 a piece, and I would bring them up there. You know, I'd eat the gum, which wasn't really that good, and then I'd, look at the cards. Well, stupid old Chuckles went down there, and the guy had a box that had to be from, 1988. It wasn't, a modern box like I was used to getting.
Right.
So I bought the box, brought it back, I opened up the card pack, and I stick the piece of gum right in my mouth.
Yeah.
I didn't look at the label that said 1988 on the back of this. And I had picked these cards up, and I think it was 1997. Oh. So this gum had been in there, in the sun, in probably a storage depot for God knows how long. And the stuff instantly disintegrated in my mouth and tasted like if I had eaten the card. It was so flipping gross. I remember opening the car door up, spitting all the gum out, trying to get it out. Couldn't do it. They should have made a Garbage Pail Kid out of me, showing how stupid I was. Oh, nope, I just see it. Here's that stupid Upchuck card. You thought I was kidding. There's a little baby here Upchucking. I remember that sucker. It was placed on my desk like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
The kid thought he was funny. When some of the kids found a Garbage Pail Kid with your name on it, they would not let you down. Like, oh, look, this is you. I think that was half the fun of it, was finding one of the cards that was named after yourself and seeing what they did with it. And they had some lame ones here, some really stupid ones where you look at it, you're like, yeah, that's not that funny. And then you go over to this one, which is really gross. It's called Krusty Chris, and he's eating scabs off himself. I mean, that's pretty vile.
That's vile.
Yeah, I mean, that is very vile. I have seen this happen, however. And I'll get back to a story on that when we come back from the music break. I will talk to you about live-action Garbage Pail Kids. That is, some of this stuff has happened in real life, and I've seen it.
So quite a bit of it.
So these cards might be, just sitting there as humor, but some of them I think are based on truth.
I mean, I never ate scabs, but I used to pick them off and play with them.
Oh, that's kind of gross. So that's definitely gross. So we're going to go down, and I love George for that. Here on Chuckles Crypt, Rhode Island Free Radio, will you only hear people talking about eating scabs? Go down to some Imagine Dragons, and yes, there's definitely some demons here.
When the days are cold and the cards all fold and the saints we see are all made of gold, when your dreams all fail and the ones we hail are the worst of all and the bloods run stale, I wanna hide the truth, I wanna shelter you, but with the beast inside, there's nowhere we can hide. No matter what we breed, we still are made of greed. This is my kingdom come, this is my kingdom come. When you pull my key, look into my eyes, it's where my demons hide, it's where my demons hide. Don't get too close, it's dark inside, it's where my demons hide, it's where my demons hide. Curtains call, it's the last of all. When the lights fade out, all the sinners crawl. So they dug your grave and the masquerade will come calling out at the mess you've made. Don't wanna let you down, but I am hellbound. Oh, this is all for you. Don't wanna hide the truth. No matter what we breed, we still are made of greed. This is my kingdom come, this is my kingdom come. When you pull my key, look into my eyes, it's where my demons hide, it's where my demons hide. Don't get too close, it's dark inside, it's where my demons hide, it's where my demons hide. They say it's what you made,
Hey, boys and ghouls. We're back from Imagine Dragons, Demons, one of my favorite modern bands right there. Those guys got what it takes. Hopefully they'll stick around for the little next couple decades and keep producing some good music for us. Because God knows we need it. There's not too many of those bands nowadays that have that technology to stick around or the gump. Kind of like Garbage Pail Kids. Who would have thought we'd be talking about this again in the year 2017?
Who would have thought we were still mentally immature enough to want to talk about this in the year 2017?
Anybody that knows me knows I'm mentally immature enough to talk about this, that's for sure. But
What I'm saying, though, is the person that created these.
Yeah.
Do you think, you know what I'm saying, did they really think that we would still be talking about, this is the quintessential throwaway item, right?
Right.
I'll tell you, it is, you're right, it's impressive.
Yeah, and the guy, I mean, maybe Jay Lynch passing away will breathe fire on these things and make them even more collectible and harder to get. I hope not. I hope they still stay at the cheap value. I'm not going to that guy's stand over there that's selling them way too much over in the Warwick Mall. Not saying his name. I'm not going over there, that's for sure. I'll stick to the flea markets where I can pick them up for 50
Just don't
cents.
chew the gum when you get them at the flea markets.
Oh, no. No, never going to do that again. Talking about life imitating art. I have seen this many a times. May lightning strike me down if you don't think I'm telling the truth about this. Where some of these cards, where as gross as they are, I've seen human beings imitate this. Like we were talking about earlier about the guy picking his scabs. Well, I've seen a picture of one of my friends posted up on Facebook of a girl picking off dead scab off her foot and eating it. And I'm pretty sure that is a Garbage Pail Kid card somewhere down here. If I keep looking, it's going to be there. I have seen.
I think I've seen that too. I remember this. Yeah, a girl at the beach, like she had like peeling suntan on her cleavage, and she was peeling it off.
That's gross. And
she was rolling it into little balls. I'm not sure if she ate it.
Now, does that make them a cannibal because they're doing that?
Self-cannibalism, I guess.
I mean, that's gross and awesome
it's
at
human,
the same time.
It's human flesh, so I guess.
Yeah, you're cannibal.
Yeah, self-cannibalization.
I mean, and the same thing. I have personally seen people picking scabs and eating them. They find it in the head or the knee, and they pick them off and they eat them. I'm sitting there going, didn't you get enough at lunch? You have to pick scabs? You're that hungry?
Well, no, they're not hungry. It's a delicacy.
I don't know. I mean, I've had blood pudding. That's kind of gross. So I figure a scab would taste similar.
Never had blood pudding.
No, you don't want it. It's not very good. Some people out there are saying you're a liar. It's good, but no, I don't think it's very good at all. As much as I'm the evil clown and devour the flesh, keep the blood to the floor. I don't want that. No, blood pudding's not that great. And I've seen the ever so popular, the person sitting there in a mirror popping the zits. You walk into a bathroom and you're going to go take a piss, and there's some dude sitting there with a finger in his nostril and the finger on the top of his nose popping the zit into the mirror. And then I look at these cards, I'm like, well, art does imitate life. Maybe this guy walked into a bathroom, saw this, and it's just stuck in his head.
Yeah.
Or maybe the dude does have a zit popping fetish. I mean, there's weirder things out there. But
well, snot eating, of course.
Yeah, oh, yeah, snot eating. That's definitely one. We've seen that. Fingernail eating. I'm a habit for biting my fingernails. I don't eat them. I like to bite them and then spit them at people.
Bite the cuticles.
Yeah, and then grosses my wife out because I leave them on the table.
Toenail biting.
Yeah, I'm too fat to do that.
We're not flexible.
No, but I'm sure it happens. I mean, that's and I'm looking at these cards here and I'm saying, well, these aren't far from the truth. They're really not. However, Garbage Pail Kids did more than cards, and we talked about it earlier. They did a movie, and movie will stop right there because I'm not going to discuss too much of it. Number one, I don't remember enough of it. Number two, I didn't like it enough to go back and research it again to put myself through that torture to talk about the movie again. They also had a cartoon that did not do very well, had a launch date, and had a couple episodes of it, but it kind of It kind of failed.
It would fail. I mean, you can't duplicate what's on those cards on a cartoon.
However,
you can't.
This form that they've duplicated to has become a huge success, and I think it's going to keep them alive even longer. They have learned how to take the form of the card and IDW has made them into a comic book.
So that's a different story. Yeah, that'll work.
And I have picked up the first 5. Now, these are comics where you read them, you're done. I'm not going to hold on to them. And I give them to my nephew, who gets, like, great freaking glory out of reading these things. And like you said, he'll go up and show his father and her mother, like, hey, look at this. Isn't this gross? And the first thing you hear is, oh, God, that's nasty.
Right.
And they stick to the same humor that the cards would have, except for they give them, like, little stories. They're little short stories, not whole books, but little short stories on the card characters and how they got their name. Really good book. So if you guys out there are paying attention to me, which you're probably not, remember,
no, don't worry. This subject has everyone's attention.
IDW puts out a really great book about Garbage Pail Kids. They also release toys. Not like the ones that you see inside of, Garbage Pail thing, but they release these little plastic toys that are almost as collectible as the cards. If not, some of them are more, because there was only a certain release of these things. And there's no color to them whatsoever. They're just like simple green. Looks like a Muscle Man version of a Garbage Pail Kid. I don't know if you remember Muscle Man. The little pink figures and everything
Not
that
offhand, no.
had no color to them. I'm sure Tony remembers those. But it's like that, but with no color. And, of course, they just released some vinyl pop figures of Garbage Pail Kids, which they fly off the shelf. I mean, I tried looking for a couple of those, and the stores that they were in sold out. So is it the younger generation doing this nostalgia?
Interesting question.
Or is it ours?
Like you said, it's probably a combination.
It's got to be. Because you get guys like me who buy the comic and say, okay, I'm not going to keep this. This isn't going to be worth anything. What's it going to hurt to give my 8-year-old nephew this?
Right.
And then they start reading it, and boom, they're caught. They love Garbage Pail
Right,
Kids.
and plus, though, I think we talked about quite a while back about the idea of fake collector's items.
Right.
And I think a lot of older fans, they're being deluded by that. I mean, they're buying all these things. Oh, this is going to be a collector's item. Well, no, not if it's like you talked about that. I won't go into it again because you really took apart the subject last time we brought it up. But if it's produced to be a collector's item, it's not a collector's item.
Right. If it's produced to be a thrown-out item and it gets thrown out and destroyed, then it's going to be a collector's item.
Now, speaking of fake collector's items, I also recall having some Garbage Pail Kid Pogs when I was a kid.
Oh, I do
Talk
too.
about doubling down on fake collectibles.
Now, we're going to get to the story about that in a second as well. It's a good thing you brought that up because I have a good story about Garbage Pail Kids and Pogs. We'll get to that after the next music break. But you're right. Fake collectibles, the Pogs, everything, really cool toys. However, you step back and you think about all this stuff here, and the Garbage Pail Kids, they kept giving you stuff inside these cheap cards. They gave you, some of the cards were stickers. And one of the cards that I remember, and I distinctly remember these because they were called Scratch and Stink Garbage Pail cards. I used to think, now these things aren't going to smell that bad. Some of them were nauseously, to the scent was like, what did they do to get this smell on this card to smell this bad? And then there was some of them you would smell like, that just smells like furniture removal or something like that. It wasn't that bad. But some of them, you'd sniff them and go, oh, my God. What did they do to these cards? Did they actually, rub this card in some guy's fecal matter when he farted and then package it? Was there a guy's ass hanging over the conveyor belt farting on each card? And then they package it up so that when you scratch and sniff it smelled like a fart.
Yeah, I'm getting a more hideous image than that, but go ahead.
I mean, what did they do to make these things smell like this? If someone knows, let me know.
What did you do?
Because how did you guys perfect this? I want to know because I've always wanted to do this invention called 3D 4D television where it was a smell-o-vision, and true 4D.
And I'll tell you one thing about before you get off the subject of the stickers. Those things stuck.
Yeah, you couldn't recycle them. Once you got them on something, they were toast.
They were not removable.
If you walk down Thayer Street, you will see Garbage Pail Kid stickers that had to be there since they were brand new out of the package.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of sucked because you took them off and then you lost them. But then they gave you something else on the back where if you collected 9 of them, which I never was able to collect the full 9 anyways. I always have 20 extra of number 1. you could make a portrait frame out of them. I couldn't find those. And they did start off, they did have originally little stories on the back of the Garbage Pail Kid cards, nothing like IDW did. But they did have the comics there first.
Yeah, and then another lore of the stickers was the more your mother was making you regret sticking it, the harder it stuck.
Oh, man. I remember sticking these things, and I got myself in a little trouble. I stuck these things all over my science book. It was the Garbage Pail Kids. I did not know at the point in time that if you destroyed a book, you would have to pay for it.
That wasn't destruction. That was enhancement.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it was a really boring science book, probably telling me all lies.
And the schools are in such bad shape that there's some kid right now with that science book with the Garbage Pail Kids on the
yeah, and he's like, hey, I got a celebrity's book. I got to have him sign it when I go back. Yeah, I'll sign your book for you, kid. You're going to have to pay for it afterwards.
Well, see if the science class had been quick thinking, they could have done a little chemistry experiment to find out how they got the stink into the cards.
Yeah, they definitely could have. I mean, what they didn't. They failed on that. Oh, man, I'm looking at a card right here that looks like my friend's girlfriend. They call it Ooh Lee. Oh. I mean, this thing is huge. I mean, if you took the bra off my friend's girlfriend and straightened the eye up, that would be her.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's a big woman.
That is
yeah, that's a big woman. Although it's supposed to be a man, I'm just saying it's a woman.
Well, could be either one.
I mean, I'm looking at some of the I'm looking at some of these.
The floor is cracking.
These are pretty cool. I mean, they have some knockoffs of the Grateful Dead. They had one up there. I don't know if this is a legit one. Someone made a Walking Dead one. They made a South Park. They did a Transformers one. I mean, there's some pretty cool ones over here. Oh, Stan Lee, Smiling Stan knockoff. Stan Lee must have loved that one.
Yeah, but I think the more creative ones, the ones knockoffs of celebrities and stuff, that was later, right? I mean, the first series was just like the scabs and the puke and the kids, right?
Yeah, there was scabs, pukes, like they weren't all gross. I mean, they had like Explosion of Adam, which was like a grenade going off, or Baskin Robin.
Right, what I'm saying is, but the ones of the celebrities and
that was later on.
That was later on, right? Yeah.
I wonder if Donald Trump is going to deport these guys for making Donald Trump Garbage Pail Kids.
Oh, they gave him enough hair, though.
Yeah, they did. I wonder if he even knows. Did I just doom the creators of Garbage Pail Kid?
Only if Donald Trump listens to the Chuckles Crypt.
That Atom Bomb looks a lot like Donald Trump.
Yeah, he does. I mean, maybe they knew. Maybe they knew that it was coming up. I don't know. Maybe they were foreseeing the future with the Garbage Pail Kids. We knew that this was coming up. Wow, and I can't work this out any better. When we come back, we're going to talk about the Pogs and the Garbage Pail Kids story. But I can't work this any better. We're talking about Donald Trump and Angry, and coming up next on Chuckles Crypt, Rhode Island Free Radio, the one and only Megadeth, Angry. Where we at, Mr. Jones?
The more of you that I inspect, the more of me I see reflect. The more I try to read your lips, the more the mask you wear rips. But when I seek out your voice, my ears are overcome with noise. You show and tell the greatest deeds, raving impossibilities. Engage in climb, I grasp my throat, and raise my mind, starts to smoke. Force mental overload, angry again, ow. And when the story takes a twist, it folds like a contortionist. Bound by law should have find me. Fractured child, let me be. A cut out cardboard condo maze. Feel within subordinate race. Irrational, you stop to stare. Ask me like a rubber hose tear. Engaged in crime, I grasp my throat. Enrage my mind, start to smoke. Enforce a mental overload. Angry again, angry again, angry again. And again, and again, again. Engaged in crime, I grasp my throat. Enrage my mind, start to smoke. Enforce a mental overload. Angry again, angry again, angry. Ow.
Bang.
Gross! There's army ants in here!
Correction. That's Arnold and Arnie for short.
Well, get out of here! We're trying to have a picnic!
Not to worry. Smells like the food's better in town anyway. Forward march!
A little cartoon there for you from the Garbage Pail Kids cartoon that was a, it was a failure. We wish it would come back, and maybe it'd do better now.
Nah, it wouldn't do better now. To do even worse because it's these politically correct times. They wouldn't let them do. That's why.
What if they did it on Adult Swim, though? A Cartoon Network. They probably could get away with a lot with that.
Maybe, but all right, maybe. But my prediction is no.
No.
No, there's just some things.
What if Robot Chicken took this, the creator from Robot Chicken, and did a stop animation version of Garbage Pail Kids? Are you listening to me, Seth? Are you listening? I just gave you an idea. Just cut me some cash there, will you? So we're going to go down real quick. Top 10 Garbage Pail Kids for Chuckles the Klown. I do have them. There's number 10. We're going to go from least favorite to favorite. Doug the Plug, which was a fire hydrant, and it shows a picture of a dog pissing on him. Pillsbury, which is a Pillsbury Doughboy pooping out cupcakes. Very funny.
Just count the fetishes here.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, this is, as kids, we didn't know this. But just count them.
Midge the Fridge, which is a refrigerator shaped like Midge and a bunch of rotten food inside of it. Fake Jake, which is, well, what it sounds like. It's Jake and he's fake, not State Farm. Jack-o'-lantern, which is Jackie Lantern. She's all done up like a jack-o'-lantern, one of my favorites. This one I used to love torturing my older sister with. Cut Up Carmen, which was a dotted cutout picture, and you know why. My older sister's name's Carmen. Hidden Heidi, which I thought was pretty messed up. It was like a patch of moss and a girl, and that was the patch of moss that she was hidden in there. You could take some bits and pieces off that if you want, if you looked at the card. Have a Nice Day, which I recently, I'm like, that kind of reminded me of Mick Foley. I think they could have put a socko on it. It would have been better, but it was a smiley face like we would have drawn, and the guy's head was popping out of the pocket. Snotty Sam, which is pretty gross. It's supposed to be, the one and only patriotic Sam, and he's got snots all stuck to him and everything, glued everywhere. And my last one is not a shocker. It's called J Decay, which is a zombie Garbage Pail Kid coming out from the ground. That was my favorite. Those are my top favorites, and they do exist in my collection. But that's Chuckles' top 10, and you got it. Unfortunately, we're getting towards the end of the show. Now, before we get there, I promised I would talk to you guys about my experience with Pogs and Garbage Pail Kids, because myself and a couple of my friends, being the greedy little bastards we were, did not think it was enough to steal each other's Pogs. So we would ante out each other's Garbage Pail Kids with the Pogs and everything. So if you lost the Pog, you lost a Garbage Pail Kid. So you really went away a double loser. All right? And I remember being so pissed off because I had lost half my Pog set, and more than half of my Garbage Pail Kids. And then I'm like, well, this kind of sucks. So I lost all these things. And then 3 weeks later, those Pogs and Garbage Pail Kids were at my friend's yard sale. Talk about insult to injury.
Those exact ones. Those.
Yes, and he wouldn't give them back to me. I had to buy them again.
Oh, my.
So not only did I lose them, but I had to buy them a second time.
Now, this would cause me to think thoughts of hideous revenge.
Well, let's just put it this way. We are still friends, but I did cause great damage to him and his body a couple times.
And he's got a few, let's just say, improvements physically.
I mean, there was a couple times later on when we played Pogs, that slammer purposely went for the knuckles. Now, if you guys know what we're talking about, Pogs, you probably don't if you're of the earlier age, or these little cardboard cutouts, and you use this heavy metal slammer to slam down on the ground, and the cards that flipped up, the Pogs, you got to keep. So if you aim that thing just right, you could catch the son of a bitch right in the knuckle, and those hurt. So
kind of like the knife game on Alien, but worse.
Yeah. I mean, and then you could say, oops, it was an accident. But it was no accident. That's what you get.
As the lump rose like on the human skull.
That's what you get for that. And I'm not going to say your name on radio, but we're going to go out with a double shot. When next we come back, Chuckles Crypt, we're going back to cryptozoology. And George said, don't talk about Bigfoot, so I won't. The next time we come back, we are going to talk about the one and only Jersey Devil, not too far from where we are. We're going to bring up some stories and everything. And you guys, we're going to give you guys some little frights there. Possibly an in-studio guest. Sorry about that.
You found the Jersey Devil?
No, I did not. But I might have someone to talk about it here on Chuckles Crypt and be the second person to show up live on the show. Let's go out. We'll try to get the double shot in. If we can, we can't. If we can't, awesome. But we're going to go out with Weird Al's Smells Like Nirvana. Only here on Chuckles Crypt, Rhode Island Free Radio. Stay tuned for the Haunted Cabaret coming up next.
What is this song all about? Can't figure hallucinating hack thinks a dollar read. It's dollar bills, gold machine.